Okay. So games as torture. Me. Quick about who this guy is. I'm Jared. I'm part of Lambda Mu Games, a small group of friends who make games. I do some work with the Lee Kuan Yew School and with the Chandler Institute. I used to be a public servant. That's where I knew Jedediah. We worked together briefly. When I was in public service, I do some foresight stuff, some engagement stuff, and we design games for like policy making. In my past life, I was a philosopher, and I like metaphors, I like games, and I like cats. Okay, that's me. So the program, and a little bit about the studio I'm part of, Lambda Mu. The game I guess we're proudest of, our big game, is Pixel People. You might have heard of it. If you haven't, go check it out. We're very proud of it. It's a city builder. You clone people. It's funny. It's full of puns. And it's free to play. So go check it out. We are very proud of it. Okay, so that was our big game in the past. So today, the plan for the next 4 minutes is we've talked about who's this guy, is Mila. The plan for the next 4 minutes is to say a little bit about torture and then share a little bit about this game we're working on, about why we try to make it torturous. So when we play games, you might think we mostly want to have fun, right? That seems like a normal thing for normal people. And so the kind of emotions you want to feel when playing a game, you might think are excitement, happiness, good about yourself. You can probably suggest many others like that. But I think a little bit of reflection might suggest that these are one kind of cluster of emotions and not the full spread of them, right? So you might think that the happy, good about yourself, excitement kinds of things fall in one quadrant of a map we might draw about our emotions. You might think that on the top, you see that positive and negative, right? You might think that some emotions positive and some are negative, and happiness and goodness about ourselves, these are positive emotions, right? And some emotions are low energy on the left and some are high energy on the right, right? So you might think excitement is very high energy and positive, right? Happiness may be a little bit less high energy, but all the emotions that kind of automatically quickly come to mind when we think about what we want to feel when we play games are all kind of in one quadrant. And we want to suggest that, of course, there are many other emotions, right? There are many other things beyond happiness. I mean, if you only feel this, then you should get tested probably, right? Our emotional palette is much wider than that. So here are some examples, right? You have your calm and relaxed, right? That's a positive emotion, but low energy. On the bottom left, you have your negative low energy emotions, your despair, your loneliness, your guilt, right? Where you just don't want to do anything, you want to sit in bed and cry, right? And then you have your high energy negative emotions on the right, bottom right, your kind of fear or anger, right? Your fury, when you want to go punch a wall or hit somebody or destroy something. So here's maybe a fuller palette of emotions. And it may be here. Wait, what?
Sorry, let me mute Sean's mic.
No worries. You might think that the bottom part of the chart here is not fun, right? This is not. We don't play games to feel despair or guilt or fear or anger. They might happen when you play a game, right? When you try to do an enhancement or gacha box and you don't get what you want, that's anger, but it's not. You don't want it, right? It's torture. It's suffering, right? But I want to suggest, and maybe you already see this coming because you're all smart people who play games, that games already kind of cover this emotional spectrum, right? So here are some examples. Low energy positive, this is your calming, relaxing, meditative games. Stardew Valley, a game like that. Actually, so if you have ideas, put them in the chat, right? I would love to hear more ideas for what falls in what quadrants and the games that you've played, because these are just from my experience, right? High energy, positive games, happy, fun games. Smash Brothers, I think, is an example of that, right? It's a lot of fun. It's very high energy. There's adrenaline. You're competing. Low energy, negative games might be like Disco Elysium, which is really depressing if you haven't played it, right? Everything about the game is designed, I think, to be depressing. It's meditative, but it's also not like happy making, right? And then, of course, on your bottom right, you have games like Dark Souls, where frustration has been honed to a weapon, right? Where you want that in some sense, you want the frustration, you're overcoming the frustration, and then the joy comes because you've been frustrated so many times. The frustration is part of the experience. So that's a fuller map of games to suggest that the torture, the stuff at the bottom of the chart, actually is something we're looking for. These are not like super niche games for crazy people. It's games that many of us play and are actually kind of fun, right? So you might ask, why do we want to be tortured, right? Why do we want? I mean, maybe it is a fact that we play Dark Souls, we play Disco Elysium, we play Darkest Dungeon, and we feel frustrated, scared, guilty, conflicted. We play horror game, but why? And here's, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know, but here's a possibility, right? Because torture can highlight meaning. We talked about whether games have to be meaningful. I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's clear that games can be meaningful. There are some games that can be, and sometimes we want games to be meaningful, the games we're playing. And meaning, I think, often comes, not always, but often comes with kind of pain, right? When you face difficult decisions, when you have that kind of psychological or mental or spiritual torture. And that kind of meaning comes about and gives us, it's what drives the sort of like personal growth, the sort of kind of moral dilemmas they meet in games where you feel conflicted and realize, I want to be a good person, but I cannot in this particular scenario. And it highlights the values you hold as a human being, as a player. As you step into the shoes of somebody different from you, right? It's from race, religion, culture, something, right? From a different kind of set of choices from you, and you articulate what it is you want in your life. And that's something powerful, I think, that games can do. They don't have to do this, but they can. So it's in that light, this kind of interest in creating suffering that the team allowed me to work in the game. So I wanted to kind of use my last few minutes to share this with you. Something to put us in distressing moral situation.
Jared, yeah. Half a minute.
Okay, I will do this in half a minute. Okay, it's called Project Lunch. I'll just show you a few visuals, okay? The visuals is we have a game, you play a public servant, because that's my past life, right? You play a public servant, you are trying to build a country much like Singapore. This is our Southeast Asian flavor. We're trying to build a Southeast Asian Singaporean brand we talked about. You have a map, you want to build things on there. There are people who are already living there, so you have to get rid of them, right? And it's hard, you can compensate them. Sometimes you can evict them. Sometimes they'll lie to you. Your boss is driving you hard, and you eventually build a city that maybe you like. And the idea that I think we're hoping to push here is that torture can be fun. You can do this, you can put yourself in distressing situations, you can suffer, and at the end of it, you come out with a renewed sense of who you are. So making meaning. Last slide is, thanks very much. And we are looking for collaborators. So we need more coders, artists, writers, thinkers, people who are interested in suffering. Here's our emails down there. Let us know if you're interested in this sort of generating suffering. And thank you very much.